Awesome. Well, hi everyone. Welcome. Welcome to my kitchen. I haven't had this many people in my kitchen in ages, so I'm very grateful to have you here with me. My name is Veronica. I work for the Burnaby Primary Care Network. I also have a passion for cooking and socializing around food. One of my favorite places is to be in my kitchen in the company of others. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, that has not been the case for over a year. And even in my day-to-day life, I live alone. So I come home at the end of a work day and I have to find some inspiration to cook for myself, which I find quite challenging. I don't know about you guys. I'm interested to know more about what kind of cooks we have here at the table. Who would call themselves, maybe you could do a show of hands or put in the chat, if you consider yourself a decent, great home chef and you have a passion for cooking, you're interested in it. Awesome, I see some hands, great. And who considers himself more a person that cooking, you can do it, but it's kind of a chore, a bit of a drag. You know, 3 meals a day, really? Prefer the takeout maybe. All right, and then who is a cooking newbie? Doesn't really know how to cook. Maybe the extent of their cooking is a piece of toast, maybe a fried egg if you're lucky. Okay, we got a variety, but also nice to see that there's some passionate cooks here. So some of the things about cooking alone that I'd like to drive home with you today are, you know, it needs to be fun, it needs to be flavorful, but also needs to be flexible. So flexible cooking is sort of my go-to when I shop, when I stock my pantry, and when I cook. So starting from the shopping and pantry experience, I'm going to take you through what my pantry looks like. Looks like a bit of a mess, right? This is pretty much at full capacity. This is a lot of ingredients here. You do not by any means need them all. I'm going to go through them with you today, show you what can be used as a substitute. You know, we see lots of recipes with long lists of ingredients and it's a bit overwhelming. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to swap out ingredients, things that can be used instead of something in the same recipe. Also, cost saving and waste reducing. Those are really big values of mine. They are really key and a big barrier really to people cooking alone because it's, again, long ingredient lists, expensive food here in the Lower Mainland, and a lot of waste can go into when you buy a ton of food to try to cook one meal. You know, what do you do with all the leftover ingredients? So those are some of the basics of what I'm going to be going through today. We're going to start off on this end here with your cooking oil. Things to keep in mind with cooking oil is the flavor and the heat point. I love coconut oil. This brand is actually really great, low cost, and has very little coconut flavor. Sometimes if you're making like an Italian dish, you don't really want a coconut flavor coming through, right? It's also great for skincare and hair care. I love this stuff. And it can go up really high without burning. So that's really important. The other love of mine for cooking and starting off any meal is olive oil. Great for fresh foods. You can drizzle it on top of cooked vegetables or make a salad dressing out of it, or you can use it to cook with. Just be careful, keep it below medium heat because it does burn quite easily. And olive oil, I've noticed, has gone down quite a bit in price and it lasts for a long time too. You know, some pantry superstars of mine are things that will really make the bulk of a soup, a stew, or a curry. I love curry. So with curry, I love having coconut milk on hand. It adds richness, creaminess. Pair that with a bit of curry paste or curry spice, which I'll get into after. Your favorite vegetables, some rice on the side. It's a great thing to have. You can also use it for root vegetable-based soups. And by the way, all of this is in a document that I prepared that will be available to you all. Tomato-based things like tomato sauce or canned tomatoes. You often see stewed tomatoes as ingredients in recipes. What I like to have is a bit more of a versatile type ingredient. So I have a pasta sauce, any kind, really a basic tomato sauce. I have a 4 cheese one on hand, which adds some extra cheese. These sauces, what's great about them is you can use it on its own, but you can use it in place of any kind of recipe that calls for tomatoes. It's great in soups, stews, curries. Also salsa, you think of as a dip, but you can actually use salsa in place of some of the recipes that ask for tomato, and it packs a lot of flavor, a lot of punch already, so you don't need some of the spices that we'll get into now. Salt and pepper are a must. I love having my table salt handy by my stovetop. I put it into boiling water to make things go quicker. This time is a valuable resource for me in the kitchen. As well as some basics, I love garlic powder, oregano, cumin, goes into lots of cuisines, and some kind of red pepper flake, chili flake, that kind of thing adds a lot of spice. So these are my basic spices that I love to have on hand, but I also love spices in general. And we can go to Mexico with some chili powder and chipotle powder. We can go to India with our curry powders and turmeric. I love having these on hand. They can really add a lot of flavor and diversity to your meals. In the fresh department, we have garlic, ginger, and soy sauce, great for a lot of the Japanese and Chinese meals. And like I mentioned, curry paste. I actually keep this in the freezer. It lasts way longer in the freezer. A spoonful of this goes a long way in adding a ton of great flavor. This is a Thai curry paste, a Penang. There's also massaman, red curry, green curry. Pick your favorite curry paste. Keep it in the fridge. This one was $5.50 and lasts for a year or two. Moving on to some of the bulk proportions of the meal, the protein, the main part. What I love about canned fish these days is you can actually get some really quality fish in a can, and they're not just for your tuna sandwiches. You can make great, you add them to salads. You can make them in a loaf, add some breadcrumbs and egg, celery, and bake it into a nice salmon loaf, for instance. My number one favorite pantry item, kitchen superstar, is your chickpeas. So canned chickpea can go for about $1, $1.50, and they can be used raw, like as is. They're already cooked in a can. So you just drain them, add them to your favorite salad, soup, stew, curry, goes on. You can also fry them up in an oven and add some spices, and you got a crouton or a crispy salad topper. Also, we can still add some versatility and blend them with even a bit of the juice of the can, and garlic or any of your favorite seasonings, make a hummus-like dip. All right, over to Mexico and the beans. Canned beans are another favorite staple of mine. They go in your Mexican dishes. They can go as a side dish, great with eggs in the morning. Pair it with your salsa you already have. This kind of protein-packed and carb-packed hearty dish can be used in a lot of ways. I love having canned beans, and there's all different kinds. Black beans, pinto, refried, some would already have flavor in them, some that already have jalapeno in them for some extra spice. Love my beans. So moving on to our fresh foods, we do like to still add some freshness, vibrancy from your grocery store items that you get in the fresh section. Some hacks on buying fresh food items. You want to pick really versatile items. So for instance, yogurt. You could buy a sweet flavored yogurt, have it as a great breakfast item, but I prefer to buy plain yogurt, especially the full fat kind. It adds a lot of richness and heartiness to meals. You can have it, add your sweetness still, have it for breakfast. You can also use it in place of sour cream, in place of mayonnaise, in so many of your savory dishes. I love making sauces out of this. Again, salsa and Greek yogurt or full fat yogurt makes a lovely dip for quesadillas, tacos, tortillas, and also curries and tomato-based warm dishes. Goes nice with a dollop of that yogurt on top. Also some key ones, we've got eggs and tofu, great low-cost items that bring a lot of nutrients and can be a main portion of the meal. Another grain or wheat thing I like, or corn, comes in corn or flour, is the tortilla. Very versatile in terms of making wraps, quesadillas. You can have it on the bottom of a plate, layer your beans, layer a salad on top, and you have what's called a tostada in Mexican cuisine. When it comes to the veggies, sometimes they come in really big portions. Like, look how big this yam is, right? So you want to pick vegetables, and that you can slice properly so that you can portion it out. I love just having a cooked yam on hand in my fridge, put it in the oven for 45 minutes. You can kind of forget about it at about 350 to 400 degree oven. You've wrapped it in foil, you have it, the juices come out, it becomes a bit sweeter. Then you can add it to tons of meals, both as a side dish or in your soups and stews, and it's already done a lot of the cooking for you. So you can just finish off your meals with lots of nutrients and heartiness from your sweet potato. Some greens, I love spinach. Spinach is great because it has, it can be used both hot and cold. You can make it as the star of your salad, and you can also add it to a hot meal, a curry, a soup. Adds a lot of nutrients. You can add it to your breakfast plates, your omelets, cooks down in 30 seconds or less. So it can even be an afterthought. Oh, let's just add a bit more greens to this meal. Plop on some spinach, either having it cooked for 30 seconds or even fresh on top of a plate with a little bit of olive oil, and you've got a really nice component and added flair to your dish, and not to mention nutrients. I also do not back away from the reduced price section. That can give me some inspiration because, you got to cook it in the next day or so because, they're on their last legs, but there's still some decent produce that you can find in the reduced to clear bin. These are some zucchinis, which I love because it's a bit more versatile than a cucumber, which can only be eaten cold. You can also cook with zucchinis and slice it up on a veggie plate. So love zucchinis, and I love when you can get them half off. Lastly, another versatile ingredient. We've got lots of different kinds of cabbages around. It can be used again like a wrap, and it can be used in your cooking. Chop it up, add it to your soups, stews, and stir fries. I love cabbage for that. And I always, pick up an onion every time I go to the grocery store because my favorite meals, they normally start off with frying up an onion. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to cook, but I come home, I take out my big pan. I love a big pan because you can almost cook two things at once in it. Chop up an onion with a good oil and add your spices, and you can run with it. These ingredients, you can make a ton of different meals and, save on some costs, reduce waste. Did you know that a third of all the food produced in the world goes to waste? That kills me to hear that. And I hope some of these tricks and tips will help you reduce waste, feel empowered to cook, feel inspired to cook, even if it's just for yourself. We all deserve to eat well. I understand the challenges, and I invite you all to share your own cooking tips and tricks. And I've also created a Facebook group for that, which I'd love to hear your feedback on. If you'd be interested in joining something like that, we do have the link for it. The idea is that it's yours. It belongs to the community. It's there for people to connect around food, to share photos or share a sentence or two or a question, and we can all actively help each other out in figuring out ways to build community around food, because that's the way it's meant to be enjoyed. So I'm going to turn it over to all of you for any questions you may have. Also, we'll share those links to the Facebook group and to more information and resources. I do have an Instagram page. I'm just new to this. I have a lifelong passion for cooking, but especially the pandemic has brought out the desire to share it and build more of a community, even from our isolated homes. Any questions?
Veronica, I asked you, and anyone in the room could also answer, what is the yummiest thing you cooked this week?
Oh, I see a curried eggplant. Yum, I love eggplant, another great versatile ingredient. This week, we're Thursday already? I love cooking. Actually, you know what? What I cooked this week, and it's actually shared on the document I put together, is a paneer curry. It's a really cheap 7-minute, 7-ingredient curry, and uses like tomato. I actually use this jar of tomato sauce and fried it up with some Indian spices on one side of the pan, and then fried the paneer in coconut oil on the other side of the pan, and put it together with some fresh cilantro on top. And I was pretty proud of that meal. 7 minutes it took me. Coconut adobo, wow, chicken one pot recipe.
I made some
awesome.
rice this week. I just was very busy, but I made some rice and I put some green onion on top, and then I chopped up some kimchi. And I have to say it was very quick and it was very delicious.
Nice. That sounds delicious. Yeah, I love kimchi. I have some in my fridge too. Yeah, I also really like, the suggestion of the one pot. It really makes it, less dishes, less time when you can figure out things that are just one pot meals. You might even have like leftover rice from, takeout meal, using that as a side or using that to build the fried rice. It's a nice way as well to build a meal, something already cooked.
Someone just said turmeric and curry is good for you as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Turmeric, I'm not the biggest fan of the taste, but I add it wherever I can. It's great for inflammation, great for your joints. So, be careful of your fingers. It does like to leave a nice stain, but it's really good for you. And I love it mixing it with curry because that really strong turmeric doesn't come through as much when it's balanced with curry and also with the coconut flavors. Good one. Yeah, the great thing about cooking at home is you can see what goes into your food. That's sort of, if you're trying to be health conscious with your cooking, best way, with your eating, the best way is to cook at home because you know what goes into things. Some of these things are canned and some processed, which you want to be mindful of not overdoing it that way. But I always think of it as, a balance between, whether I'm going to go to the restaurant, buy a fatty or, high calorie meal versus making one myself. You normally end up with better nutritional value and quality meal when you make it yourself.
We have 2 minutes left, Veronica.
Okay, any other questions? Or maybe is that link shared on the chat? Because we can, I'd love to hear your feedback on what, would a Facebook group work for you guys? What kind of community would you like to build, whether it's using your phone, or I know we can't do in-person meetups at this point, but in the future, what kind of ways are you looking to connect with people around food, or if you're even interested in that kind of thing? I'd love to hear. You can send us a message later, can send a message to me as well. My contact details are shared on the document as well, or you can put in the chat as well.
Or unmute yourself if you have something to say.
Great.
The link's in there now.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
And your email.
You guys are on it.
So as we wrap up, folks, just encouraging people that when you'll close this meeting, just like the other sessions, close this meeting, and you will join on the next session that you want to attend, just so that we have enough time to get ready for the next session. Thank you so much, Veronica.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming to my kitchen.
So fun, and it's so colorful. I love it.
Gotta add some color.